Hello, my name is Peter and welcome back to the series where we're looking at the films in the Nativity film franchise. This time we're looking at Nativity 2, Danger in the Manger, which came out in 2012, 3 years after the previous film. Before I get started, I just want to mention that the last episode felt really kind of odd when I was filming it, because I realised with these kind of videos that I'm so used to not liking the films that I'm talking about that when I stopped recording, I just went, oh, well, that was quick. So whilst it was nice to actually talk about a film that I genuinely enjoyed with Nativity, it was definitely strange in that I wasn't complaining about anything. But not to worry, it will certainly be a return to form in this video. Yeah, this film is not very good, and I need to talk about this because yeah. So the story follows Donald Peterson, who's just moved to Coventry with a pregnant wife and a new job at St. Bernadette's School. His dad visits for Christmas and reminds him of how much of a failure he is in comparison to his twin brother Roderick. Meanwhile, Mr. Poppy has pretty much become the full-time teacher for Mr. Madden's old class as he's moved to America, and no other teacher has tolerated Mr. Poppy long enough. So Mr. Poppy and co find out about a Song for Christmas competition that's happening in Wales with a 10 grand prize and a chance for their song to become Christmas #1. Immediately they start working on auditions and such, even though the head, Mrs. Bevan, has told them not to. When Mr. Peterson rocks up, there's only one more day to enter the Song for Christmas competition, and whilst he enjoys watching the kids perform their song, he ultimately decides not to enter them. This is important. They don't enter the competition. Remember that. Mr. Poppy gets a London Duck tour bus and forces Mr. Peterson on board as the class sneak out of school and head to Wales. Gordon is also back with the rival school Oakmoor, who are also competing in the competition. I know this film, as well as the previous film, included improvised scenes between the adults and the children, but the rest of this film just feels like a massive improv. It literally felt like the cast and the crew were just placed in Wales and they just filmed whatever happened. They get lost in the countryside, steal a donkey, and eventually they get to the castle. Obviously they try to get in, but oopsie doopsie, they didn't actually apply for the competition. Thankfully, due to the best acting in the whole film from Reese the secretary, they get in.
I've tied the donkey up outside and it's pooing all over the front steps.
Donkey? Who?
All this time, Mrs. Bevan and the parents have been worried sick about the children, so they follow them to Wales and storm into the castle, and there's then some confusion between Mr. Peterson and his twin brother Roderick, who's entering his boys' choir into the competition. It's so messy. We then get the most unprecedented and perhaps the best part of this whole film, when Mrs. Bevan attacks Reese the secretary.
Please.
Now get off me!
Stop. Sorry about that.
The performances start and St. Bernadette's get called up before it's announced that they're disqualified, which makes absolutely no sense as they were never officially in the competition in the first place. Roderick steals a part of Gordon's song to make his performance more sentimental, so Gordon allows St. Bernadette's to pretend to be Oakmoor for their performance. This results in Oakmoor ultimately winning the competition as the judges mean St. Bernadette's, but the Oakmoor name is announced as the winner. So I guess they get the £10,000 prize? This is never resolved at the end of the film. But never mind about that. Did you remember Mr. Peterson's wife Sarah being pregnant? Yeah? Oh yeah. As the class begin leaving the castle... Oh god, what's it called? Going into labour. What's it called? Contractions! As the class begin leaving the castle, Sarah starts having contractions, and oh no, calling an ambulance would be far too inconvenient. Let's just deliver the baby in this completely hygienic barn instead. Because look! It's just like the real Nativity! By this point, the film had completely lost me in how just ludicrous it was. It was just so far from reality. And the previous film had unrealistic story parts, but they were done well in order for you to accept them. And the rest of the film was so warm and done excellently that you didn't even think about it. And this is just the complete opposite case for Nativity 2. I said that I'd seen 20 minutes of this film a couple of years ago, and actually that 20 minutes turned out to be the first 20 minutes, which aren't that bad, as they contain the auditions, which are probably the funniest part. And the film has a very quick pace to the point where they're heading off to Wales only half an hour in. So when I was watching it, I thought, well, what are they going to do for another hour and 10 minutes? And it turns out the majority of that duration is just taken up by this class just wandering around the Welsh countryside. The music, again, is by Nicky Ager. The soundtrack is nowhere near as good, and the kids' voices are awfully auto-tuned.
Scared to even dream the dream, but now my hopes are high, my life has changed.
Which doesn't make any sense, as they were amazing for the first film. And not all of the songs appear in the last act of the film when all the performances take place. There are 1 or 2 songs that the characters sing as if the film's a musical. So I guess this film is a musical now. On Rotten Tomatoes, the film got 36% from the critics and 49% from the audience, which is, I would say, absolutely fair enough. It's not that much of a decrease from the previous film, but in my opinion, these films are just so different in quality. The film made $14.4 million at the box office from a budget of $3.7 million, so it made even more money. I think this might be the first time that 2 films by the same production company in the same film franchise differ so badly. I mean, good heavens, this franchise could go anywhere. I cannot wait to see what Nativity 3 can throw at me. But anyway, thank you very much for watching this video. Have you seen Nativity 2? If you have, please let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time. Goodbye.